Poker isn't just a game, it's a lifestyle, a risk, and for some, a dangerous gamble with everything on the line. But when the luck ran out, so did the millions. This is what happens when poker's biggest names risk it all and lose. Ted Forrest. Ted Forrest isn't just another name in poker. He's a 6-time WSOP bracelet winner and a daredevil with a taste for risk that goes beyond the tables. Known for his relentless pursuit of big wins and outrageous prop bets, Forrest built his reputation on high-stakes games and legendary gambles. But it's not just his skill that made him famous. It's the way he continually pushed the limits, betting it all, sometimes on himself. Take his infamous weight loss prop bet with Mike Matusow. Forrest wagered he could lose nearly 50 pounds in just a few months.
Each and every minute by a very bizarre and outrageous prop bet with Mike Matusow.
A challenge that most would have laughed off, but Forrest did it, putting his health on the line and winning what was reportedly a $2 million prize. Yet, he claimed he never received the full payout, and his health paid a heavy price for the extreme weight loss. Instead of bolstering his bankroll, this victory only brought more financial strain. Forrest's troubles extended beyond prop bets into serious legal issues with casinos. In 2013, he signed a confession acknowledging he owed the Wynn Casino $270,000. Despite an agreement to repay the debt, court records indicate the sum was never fully settled, casting a shadow over his financial standing. The case was eventually closed, but the debt loomed over him, making his financial situation increasingly dire. And that wasn't the end of it. In 2015, the Mirage Casino filed a lawsuit against Forrest, claiming he still owed $40,500 from a $100,000 loan extended in 2013. The court ruled in favor of the casino, adding yet another debt to Forrest's growing list of financial woes. With these high-profile legal battles, his financial situation grew increasingly bleak. Despite his relentless pursuit of big wins, including a 4th-place finish in the WSOP 7-Card Stud Championship, where he cashed in $73,000, Forrest's debts continued to pile up. Rumors swirled that even these winnings were quickly swallowed by his outstanding obligations, leaving him caught in a cycle of high-stakes victories and even higher-stakes debt. For a player once revered for his fearless approach, Forrest's story has taken a dark turn, marked by legal battles, unpaid debts, and financial struggles. Jerry Yang. In 2007, Jerry Yang went from a relative unknown to the ultimate poker champion by winning the WSOP main event. He entered the tournament through a $200 satellite and walked away with a staggering $8 million payday. Yang took calculated risks throughout the tournament, cementing his victory in a moment of poker history. His intense emotions at the table, praying during hands, and showing deep gratitude after big wins made him a memorable and relatable champion for fans worldwide. After his win, Yang pledged to give back, donating significant portions of his prize to charities like the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the Ronald McDonald House, along with his church. But while his generosity was commendable, it marked the beginning of a series of financial missteps. Yang's decision to donate before securing his own financial stability left him vulnerable to unforeseen obligations. The tax implications of his winnings began to weigh on him, and despite his monumental success, he soon found himself in financial distress. By 2013, the situation had worsened. The IRS seized several of Yang's assets, including his WSOP bracelet, to help settle a tax debt that exceeded $570,000. This seizure shocked the poker community and was a striking symbol of Yang's financial struggles. His prized bracelet and other personal items were put up for auction, a painful moment for a champion who had once stood at the top of the poker world. In interviews, Yang has reflected on his financial struggles, often citing poor advice and personal mismanagement as factors in his downfall. He admitted he hadn't fully grasped the tax responsibilities that came with his winnings and regretted not setting aside funds before making charitable contributions. Without proper guidance, the money quickly disappeared, leaving him facing a mountain of debt. Yang attempted to diversify his income, moving into the restaurant business with establishments like Pocket 8's Sushi and Grill in California. But even these ventures weren't enough to cover his financial obligations. Despite these setbacks, he continued to appear in the poker scene, though the scale of his play was a far cry from his main event triumph. TJ Clutier. TJ Clutier's name is etched into the history of poker as one of the most decorated and respected players of his time. Known for his remarkable consistency and skill, Clutier won 6 WSOP bracelets, with over $10 million in live tournament earnings. His achievements spanned several poker disciplines, and he's the only player to win WSOP bracelets in all three major forms of Omaha: Limit High, Pot Limit High, and Limit 8 or better high-low split. Throughout the late 80s and 90s, Clutier was a dominant force, placing in the top 5 of the WSOP main event multiple times and becoming a fan favorite with his strong, no-nonsense approach to the game. Clutier's rise to poker stardom didn't follow the typical path. A former college football player, he pivoted to poker after a series of business failures. While this transition gave him new purpose, Clutier's journey was a difficult one, marked by ups and downs that mirrored the swings of the game he loved. His success at the tables was often offset by his struggles with money management, and for Clutier, his biggest challenge wasn't poker. It was gambling itself. Despite earning millions, Clutier couldn't resist the allure of high-stakes craps. Known to take his winnings straight from the poker tables to the casino floor, he gambled away large amounts in craps games, a habit that slowly eroded his bankroll. Fellow players and fans recall seeing him leave poker tables victorious, only to lose much of his winnings just hours later at the craps tables. For Clutier, the thrill of the gamble extended beyond poker, but his love for risk eventually took its toll. His financial troubles became painfully public in 2010, when his 2005 WSOP bracelet was auctioned online for just over $4,000. It was a stark symbol of his financial struggles, showing that even the most successful players can find themselves in difficult circumstances without disciplined money management. The sale of the bracelet shocked the poker world, especially given Clutier's legacy, and many fans and players were disheartened to see one of poker's legends in such a position. The stories don't end there. Over the years, Clutier has reportedly sought backing from other players, even for relatively low buy-in tournaments, a surprising revelation for someone of his stature. In interviews, Clutier has been open about his financial ups and downs, reflecting on the need for balance and admitting that his love for high-stakes gambling ultimately worked against him. Despite these challenges, Clutier remains a respected figure in the poker community. He has channeled his experience into writing, authoring several poker strategy books that have guided countless players looking to improve their game. His books, often praised for their straightforward advice and practical strategies, show a depth of knowledge that only someone with his background could provide. Clutier's willingness to share his insights with aspiring players speaks to his dedication to the game, and his contributions continue to influence the next generation of poker players. Gavin Griffin. Gavin Griffin was the definition of a poker prodigy. In 2004, at just 22 years old, he became the youngest player to ever win a WSOP bracelet by taking down the $3,000 pot limit hold'em event. That achievement alone would have secured his place in poker history, but Griffin didn't stop there. He went on to accomplish what many pros only dream of, poker's triple crown. With victories at the EPT in Monte Carlo and the WPT Borgata Classic, he joined the elite ranks of players who had won titles across all three major tours. By the end of his run, Griffin had earned over $5 million in live tournament winnings, cementing his status as one of the game's brightest young stars. But behind the scenes, maintaining that level of success came with pressures that few could understand. Griffin's rapid rise to fame and fortune brought him into the world of high-stakes poker, luxury lifestyles, and expectations from both fans and sponsors. As his fame grew, so did his spending, and like many young players who find sudden success, he struggled to manage the money he was earning. Griffin has been open about his financial struggles, revealing how poor bankroll management and lifestyle choices played a role in his fall. He found himself making decisions that didn't align with the disciplined approach he'd once relied on. To support his high-stakes lifestyle, he started dipping into his bankroll, taking bigger risks to try to keep up with the pros around him. The losses soon piled up, and Griffin eventually had to take a hard look at his situation. In a moment of honesty, Griffin admitted that he needed to scale back and recalibrate. He stepped down to lower-stakes games, a decision that required swallowing his pride. There's a huge difference in going from playing the big tournaments to stepping down in stakes, Griffin remarked in an interview, acknowledging the difficulty of returning to more modest games after tasting such success. But the change was necessary. Taking a lower-stakes approach, he began to rebuild his bankroll from scratch, intent on re-establishing a sustainable path forward. Griffin also turned to writing and teaching, sharing his experiences to help others avoid the pitfalls he encountered. He's contributed articles, reflecting on the financial lessons he learned and the importance of bankroll management, hoping to guide other players in maintaining discipline both on and off the felt. His openness about his struggles resonated with many in the poker community, and he became an advocate for a balanced approach to the game. David Chino, Ream. Ream was never just another poker player. He was a force of personality and talent who took the poker world by storm. Known for his smooth-talking charisma and raw skill at the tables, Ream accumulated more than $12 million in live tournament winnings over his career. One of his biggest early achievements came in 2008, when he took 7th in the World Series of Poker main event, earning nearly $2 million. And this was only the beginning. Ream went on to capture multiple World Poker Tour titles, including a significant win at the 2019 PokerStars Caribbean Adventure main event, netting him another $1.5 million. But Ream's story isn't just one of triumph. It's a tale of repeated highs and devastating lows. Behind his success were patterns of financial chaos and controversy that few players could survive. Ream has admitted to going broke within a week of scoring big at least 5 times throughout his career. Each victory was quickly overshadowed by poor financial decisions, often linked to his love for high-stakes gambling away from the poker tables. The issues didn't stop there. Ream openly struggled with substance abuse, admitting that drug use played a role in his chaotic lifestyle. As debts piled up, he became known for borrowing money from fellow players and failing to repay them. In 2011, the Epic Poker League took the unprecedented step of placing him on probation shortly after his victory in their inaugural event, citing outstanding debts. It was a public reprimand that cast a shadow over his victory and laid bare his ongoing financial and personal challenges. In one candid interview, Ream addressed his struggles and the constant comparisons to Stu Angar, a poker legend whose life was marred by similar issues. But despite his efforts, Ream's life continued to follow a path of extreme highs and lows. Each big win led fans and friends to hope he'd finally turn it all around, only for him to stumble into the same patterns again. In recent years, Ream has taken steps to rebuild his life and reputation. Aware of the damage his past actions caused, he's been making an active effort to repay his debts, stay away from self-destructive habits, and focus on his game. Ream has publicly acknowledged his mistakes and, by some accounts, seems genuinely committed to a path of stability and responsibility. For a player once known as much for his struggles as his skills, this new chapter holds promise for the balance he's long pursued, one where his talent can shine without the weight of his past pulling him down. Stu Angar. Stu Angar is often regarded as one of the greatest poker players of all time. His natural talent for the game was unmatched, and his ability to read opponents and make lightning-fast decisions earned him the nickname The Kid. Angar won the WSOP main event 3 times, a record that still stands. His first victory came in 1980 when he was just 26 years old, and he quickly followed it up with another win in 1981. Angar's aggressive style and fearless approach to the game made him a legend. At his peak, Angar was earning millions of dollars and living a life of excess. He was known for his extravagant spending, often carrying large amounts of cash and placing massive bets on everything from poker to sports. However, Angar's brilliance at the table was overshadowed by his personal demons. He struggled with drug addiction, particularly cocaine, which would eventually lead to his downfall. Angar's addiction became increasingly severe as his career progressed. Despite his success, he would often disappear for days at a time, engaging in drug-fueled binges that left him physically and mentally depleted. His once vibrant personality began to deteriorate, and his ability to perform at the poker table suffered as a result. By the late 1980s, Angar had squandered most of his fortune on drugs, gambling, and a lavish lifestyle. In 1990, Angar made a brief comeback, winning the Amarillo Slim's Super Bowl of Poker. But his addiction continued to take its toll. His health deteriorated, and his financial situation became increasingly dire. Despite winning the WSOP main event again in 1997, his third victory, Angar was broke just months later. He had borrowed money from friends to enter the tournament and used his winnings to pay off debts and fuel his addiction. Angar's tragic end came in 1998 when he was found dead in a cheap motel room in Las Vegas. He had no money to his name, and the once great poker legend had been reduced to living in squalor. His death was a sobering reminder of the destructive power of addiction, even for someone as talented as Stu Angar. Gus Hansen. There was a time when Gus Hansen was considered one of the most dangerous and unpredictable players on the planet. Known as the Great Dane, Hansen's hyper-aggressive and unconventional playing style took the poker world by storm in the early 2000s. He wasn't afraid to put his opponents to the test with massive bluffs and wild plays that others wouldn't dare to attempt. His fearlessness paid off. Hansen claimed 3 World Poker Tour titles, raking in millions and earning a reputation as one of the most exciting players in the game. Hansen's poker brilliance seemed unstoppable. By 2004, he was inducted into the WPT Walk of Fame, and his unpredictable tactics had garnered him a devoted fan base. Unlike many players who followed a conservative, math-based approach, Hansen relied heavily on his instincts, his reads, and his raw ability to apply pressure. This strategy helped him secure several seven-figure tournament wins, propelling him to superstardom in the poker community. His fearless nature made him a dangerous opponent, but also an entertaining one. People tuned in just to see what crazy move Gus would pull next. However, with high-risk poker comes high volatility. For Hansen, the swings weren't just part of the game, they were his trademark. While his aggressive style won him millions, it also led to staggering losses. Hansen transitioned from the tournament scene to the world of high-stakes cash games, where the stakes were even more brutal. Playing in games with blinds so high they'd make most players sweat, Hansen found himself losing millions almost as fast as he had earned them. Between 2009 and 2014, Hansen experienced some of the most brutal swings ever seen in poker history. His losses in online poker alone were staggering. Tracking sites like High Stakes DB reported that Hansen lost more than $20 million on full-tilt poker over the span of just a few years. His swings became legendary, not for their size, but for their sheer relentlessness. Even as other top players started to tighten up and play safer, Hansen continued to push the envelope with his fearless yet often reckless style. Despite his deep losses, Hansen remained a figure that fascinated poker fans. He wasn't just a player, he was a character, always smiling, always upbeat. Gus never let his massive swings affect his love for the game. In interviews, he maintained that poker was a long-term game, and he wasn't too concerned about the temporary downs. But for many, his losses were hard to ignore. He had gone from being poker's golden boy to its cautionary tale. In recent years, Hansen has largely stepped away from the public poker scene, though he still occasionally appears in high-stakes games around the world. His legacy, however, remains twofold. On one hand, he's remembered as one of the most exciting and innovative players the game has ever seen. On the other hand, his monumental losses have made him a poster child for the dangers of the high-stakes lifestyle. Gus Hansen's story serves as a reminder that, in poker, fortune can turn on a dime. One moment you're at the top of the world. The next, you're facing losses that most can't even fathom. For Gus, it was always all or nothing. And sometimes, that gamble didn't pay off. Jamie Gold. In 2006, Jamie Gold became an overnight sensation in the poker world. He wasn't just a typical poker player grinding away at tables for years. Gold was a Hollywood talent agent who entered the World Series of Poker with a mix of charisma and confidence that made him stand out. And stand out he did. In a single event, Gold took down the biggest WSOP main event in history, walking away with a jaw-dropping $12 million, the largest prize ever awarded in a poker tournament. What made Jamie Gold's victory so captivating was his unconventional style of play. He was brash, talkative, and played mind games that unsettled his opponents. Gold talked his way through hands, convincing players to fold monster hands and giving the audience a poker performance unlike anything they had seen before. But beneath the charm and table talk, Gold was riding the wave of the poker boom, winning at the height of poker's popularity with millions of eyes watching. His win, however, came with a cloud of controversy almost immediately. Not long after his historic victory, Gold was embroiled in a legal battle over his winnings. A friend and business partner, Bruce Crispin Leiser, claimed that Gold had agreed to split the winnings from the main event in exchange for helping him recruit celebrities to play in the tournament. When Gold refused to honor the deal, Leiser sued, freezing half of Gold's $12 million prize while the courts sorted out the dispute. Gold's initial rise to fame had all the makings of a Hollywood script: charisma, luck, and a massive payout. But his fall from grace came just as quickly. The legal battle over the money dragged on, and while it was eventually settled out of court, the damage to his reputation was already done. Many questioned whether Gold's win was a fluke. His subsequent poker performances didn't live up to the hype of his 2006 victory. He failed to replicate his success, and over time, Jamie Gold's name became more associated with his legal troubles and the spectacle surrounding his win than his actual poker prowess. In the years following his WSOP triumph, Gold faded from the poker spotlight. He continued to play in tournaments, but never reached the heights he had in 2006. He dabbled in various business ventures, including poker-related projects, but nothing seemed to stick. For many, Jamie Gold became a symbol of poker's unpredictability. One day, you're on top of the world, and the next, you're embroiled in lawsuits and struggling to maintain your status. Despite the controversies and the questions about his poker skill, Jamie Gold's name will always be etched in history as the winner of the largest prize in WSOP main event history. But like so many before him, he found that in poker, winning big doesn't always mean staying on top.